This is ZekeTalk. My name is Jim Tudor, and today we're talking to Paul Hibbard. Paul's been a contributor to ZekeFilm for many years now, but um, a lot of people also know that he is a filmmaker in his own right. Has made several films, just completely independently. And so Paul's here to tell us a little bit about his new film, but mostly about a new film festival.
hmm Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, Jim. And
Oh, sure.
so basically the story behind it is last year I made a movie called Some Visitors, which was a film that was not easy to make at all. And one of the reasons it wasn't easy to make is because we had problems keeping crew on for the film because the subject matter um, is pretty intense, I guess you can say. And I knew from the beginning while we were making it, it just wasn't a film that fit in very well with St. Louis, because I've been in the St. Louis market for a while, and St. Louis film just sort of has like a certain feel to it. And occasionally something interesting happens here. But for the most part, like successful St. Louis films kind of follow a formula or a set of sensibilities or something like that. And I felt like my movie was not hitting that very well. And I'm not trying to downgrade films, because some of them are really good. There's just certain films that just don't do quite as well here. And I knew from the beginning when I made this movie that it was going to be kind of a lightning rod in St. Louis. And I knew like from the beginning, I had to kind of protect the movie. So when I was finished the movie, you kind of look at the festivals that you're going to. And once you've been making films as long as I have, you have an idea of what festivals you can send it to and not send it to. It's not, if you're a new filmmaker, doing like a shotgun approach isn't always the best way, because a lot of festivals, it isn't just a matter of quality versus not quality. It's a matter of what does the festival represent? What kind of themes do they have? And how does your film fit into there? So if there's any like new filmmakers who are listening to this, one, don't just fire it out, do research on the festivals. And two, don't get offended or your feelings hurt when it gets rejected, because so many festivals are based on themes and how they run. They're not just necessarily looking for the best films. So when I was sending my movie Some Visitors out, the first one I went to was Panic Fest, which is in Missouri. It's on the KC side. It is a great horror festival that specializes in movies that are very maybe antagonistic, maybe assaulting. Like this, for instance, they had the new Gaspar Noé. They had a couple other films that were sort of along that sort of like feel, that aesthetic. Like this is not a festival that's afraid to offend people. And I knew my movie was going to fit in nicely there, and it got accepted right off the bat. And this was a pretty big festival. And then when that happened, that kind of changed the tone towards my movie around here a little bit. And it became like a matter of how I was going to play my film in St. Louis, because the same protection that I had in my movie, I also wanted to protect it and how I was going to play it. And honestly, like I looked around at the options and I decided that the best way to play my movie and to protect it was to essentially start my own festival, and start a festival that was sort of in the vein of these other genre festivals that I love. And I wanted to create a festival that was essentially a safe space for St. Louis filmmakers who maybe make films that are a little more challenging, and they don't necessarily have a place in St. Louis to go. And I wanted to give them that place.
Your film, Some Visitors, is assured best in show at your festival, right?
Well, so this year, what we're doing is, this year is called Year Zero. I'm not even calling it the first year.
Okay.
So none of the movies that are playing were through submissions.
Okay.
It was all me playing my film and then collecting movies that I watched at the festivals my movie played at. So I watched movies at Panic Fest. I watched movies at Grimm Fest. I watched movies at other festivals I got into, and I was like, this is my favorite. And I would write them and ask them to be in my festival. So this year was essentially just like a test to
Yeah.
see if there was a market for what I was trying to do in St. Louis. And if there wasn't, and nobody showed up or 10 people showed up, I was fine with just playing my movie, and that was it. And playing the other movies, and 10 people watch it, and then this festival would be dead right off the bat. But what ended up happening is we sold out a month ahead of time, and we're playing it at Arkaden, which is this great local venue that is done such a good job of capturing the film spirit in St. Louis. Like, they're so good at selling out their shows. I mean, as you know, because you've done screenings around St. Louis, it's hard to get people to come out.
Yeah.
And somehow these two have figured out the way to get people to come out, because I will go for like some obscure 80s movie I've never heard of, and they have the venue sold out. So they are so good at like tapping to the heart of film love in St. Louis. So I was, yeah, they were kind enough to invite me, and it's playing there, and we sold out a month ahead of time, which pretty much guarantees that it's going to happen again next year. And I'm really excited to be just a curator. I'm really excited to not make this thing just be a place to play my movie and some other movies. Yeah. I'm excited to just be known as a curator and not a filmmaker next year.
Well, cool. Well, let's back up just a little then.
Okay.
Your film festival, and what are you calling this?
It is called HYSTERIA Fest.
HYSTERIA Fest at the Arkaden in St. Louis is happening. And you've created this festival, as you said, to give your own film, some visitors, a place.
Yeah,
basically. And this is not to say, like, as you launched into all this, some visitors is already doing all right in the horror film festival circuit nationwide and even beyond that, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, my festival is the puniest festival it's going to play at. I mean, there's nothing special about it playing at my festival, except it's just my chance to be able to show it off
in
like
St. Louis.
Yeah, so the festivals, like when I'm showing off my movie, or I'm putting my poster together, I'm not putting My Laurel on my poster. I'm putting Panic Fest and Shock Fest and Grim Fest and these, you know, festivals that the media covers and people come out for. Those are the ones that I'm pimping. So my movie has made it to quite a few I would say A-list horror festivals, but not just my movie, but some of the other movies I'm playing there have made it to some of these festivals too. There's one called Guts that we're starting the whole festival out with. This movie is a blast. This one has gone to more festivals than mine has. Every single time a new festival announces their lineup, I see this movie in it. I mean, they are hitting everything. So this movie is, in terms of Laurel legitimacy, this one even more so than mine. And then we have a movie from a local filmmaker named Doug Wicker. His film made it into Chattanooga Film Festival, which is one of probably the top 10 horror festivals in America. We got, you know, some other festivals. There's one that played at Screamfest. So when you go down the line, there's one that played at Beyond Fest, which is really big too. So when you go down the line, like a lot of these movies, even though for a first year festival, they all have the legitimacy of playing at these big festivals. And the reason I was able to throw that together is because when you play alongside with these movies, you kind of have a brotherhood. Like, everybody like sends each other links, and you will like message each other on Twitter. So when I was able to approach them, I don't know how it would have went over if I was just like, hey, I'm nobody, but can I have your movie? But I was able to start off by saying, hey, my movie, Some Visitors, played alongside your movie at this festival. I loved it. Can I play it at my festival where I'm premiering my movie? And that seemed to be able to allow them to feel more comfortable giving me their movie.
Well, that's great. I mean, it sounds like, well, I mean, okay, ZekeFilm, you know, we've been always throwing around this community through cinema thing to various ends, and sometimes, you know, not exactly running with that maybe the way we should have. But in your case, it sounds like you are out to cultivate from the ground up a horror filmmakers community through your festival, you know, kind of reaching into this community that's already existed, aside from what you described earlier as the quote unquote St. Louis film crowd, that is something that has been, I don't know, you find yourself outside of that.
Yeah, and again, it's no knock on anyone here, but what it
Yeah.
is almost the same way what I was saying earlier, that when you look at these festivals, each festival has a theme. They have what they're going for, and so a lot of local festivals will kind of be the same way too. It's like they have their themes, just like these horror festivals have their themes, and I didn't see festivals around that fit what I was trying to do. So all I simply did was just create something that fits the theme. It's not even like competition for anything, but it just fits the theme of what I did not see a market for in St. Louis. And there is a great horror scene here. There are people who have tapped into it and have really kind of exposed it. One of them is Andy Triefenbach, who does Destroy the Brain. He brings people out like crazy to his event, and he's doing a trivia night that's kind of tangentially connected to my festival. So my festival goes October 20th to the 22nd, and we're playing movies the 20th and the 22nd, and then his trivia night was the 21st, and we didn't want to compete with him or take anything away from him. So I just messaged him and I was like, hey, can we just kind of like connect the two together? So if you're in the St. Louis area, if you have tickets for Hysteria Fest already, you're in luck. So then what you can do is you can essentially, and a few people I know have tickets for both nights, you can essentially do the 2 nights of movies and you can do the trivia at Andy's in between. If you have tickets for one of the evenings, Andy Triefenbach's trivia is in between. And if you don't have tickets yet, you can just come to Andy's trivia. And all the filmmakers from Hysteria Fest should be there too, so you can come meet us.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm sure if anybody's made it this far listening to this, and I hope they have, because I'm wondering, how hard is it to start your own film festival? What does that entail? Like you decide you want to do this, where do you start? And then what do you do?
So the good thing about this year is, since we were calling it year 0, there's like very little pressure to do anything fancy. So we're not even necessarily making a festival that I feel like competes with other major festivals yet. This was just a testing of the market. So all we did for this one was get Arkin to allow us in, collect the films, which was some work, but we collected the films, do a little bit of advertisement, and basically just throw it out for it to see what the market says. So in the case of this year, it wasn't too hard, but we're doing it admitting that this is a test run to see what we can do. Now, next year, if we do go again, which is looking very, very, very possible, I have plans to do it as a full festival, which would be able to compete with other major festivals, or at least to mimic other festivals, or at least to feel like other festivals do. I don't think I'll actually be able to compete with them so much, but at least to like pay respect to them and follow in their footsteps. In a case like that, it's going to be setting up several screens. We'll expand to a week. It's going to be a lot more films that we are going to have to bring in. I won't be able to fill the amount of slots with just invitations this time. So most film festivals, you open up submissions, you get filmmakers to send you films, and that's the majority of the movies you play. Now this year, because I had that luxury of watching a whole bunch of movies for free because of my movie, I was able to fill it with invitations, but I won't have my movie doing the rounds next year as much. So I'll have to open up submissions. So if you're a filmmaker listening and you want to be in a horror festival next year, there's a 99% chance that we're going to be running again, and we'll be opening up submissions sometime in the spring. Send us your movie. It's also a matter of getting sponsors, getting advertisement, getting donors, getting the media to cover, trying to get something of a celebrity, or at least someone who has like a name in the horror world. If I want to compete with like major festivals, get someone to come in and do some sort of Q&A, or get someone to come in and do some sort of workshop or TED Talk or whatever you want to call it about the trade. these are the plans that we are looking to go full-fledged with next year.
All right. Well, that sounds fantastic. If there's anything else you want to add here before we wrap up, now's the time. I've got a battery low. My computer is going to croak on us, and I apologize for that. I should have plugged it in, and I didn't.
Oh, it's okay. Just quickly, like, I know this year sold out, so it is a little bit weird that I'm even announcing this because there's no tickets available. But basically, all I want to do is just put it into people's minds that this is something that I want to be a mainstay in St. And I want the term Hysteria Fest to be. I don't know if I'm still recording. I think Jim's computer just crashed on him. But all I'm trying to do is make Hysteria Fest be part of the lexicon of horror festivals around the country, and hopefully we can get something going with it. If you got tickets this year, I'm excited to see you there. If you didn't, sorry, but we should be around next year, and I look forward to seeing you all. All right, thank you.